What's up YouTube, it's Clormo with another Logic Pro X tutorial on my Alchemy Advanced mini series. I'm just gonna talk today about some source filter use tips. So it's not gonna be a show and tell type of video per se, but I'm gonna give you one or two tips so that you make your workflow when working with the source filters a little bit more efficient. And that's all tied because of the usage of their CPU and thinking about those that don't have a very strong processing power PC or laptop. It keeps a few things in mind before you go crazy and start doing the stuff that I believe that you're thinking on doing already. So let's go into Logic Pro real quick. We last video spoke about the filters. This is what I'm still talking about, just this little area here. But as with the other videos, I changed the preset, and again, I want to give you a taste of what that does in that MIDI information that we have been carrying. So I'm just gonna press play. Very nice wave. Sounds quite nice. That's just what it is, right? It's just a preset. What I want to talk here, some tips. Remember that Alchemy lets you have multiple filter types that you can use at the main stage or the main level and at the source level. The first tip that I want to share is that the source filtering, it's probably the biggest impact that you're going to get on your sound. Like I was saying in the previous video, it gives you the most precision to achieve what you're looking for in your signal, in your sound, etc. But it also consumes the most CPU power. And that's because if you think about it, you have 4 different sources, right? That you can put 3 independent filters to each. And you can put them in series or parallel. And then you can send them to your effects. So that's a lot of stuff happening at the source level, right? And you can probably achieve similar effects by being a little bit more efficient and using the male filters, which are a little bit less CPU intensive. So although I'm not gonna give you a lot of examples here, I'll probably give you 1 or 2 examples. That's something that you really need to keep in mind. It's not that if you have a powerful system, you shouldn't just go in, and if you don't have any problems, you might not need to tweak anything. But if you want to be efficient and you want to make sure that your output signal it's the best possible, keep in mind that you may be able to achieve a same result just by tweaking around how you deal with filters. So keep that in mind. That's the first tip. The second thing that I wanted to say today is that it might not be obvious from the other videos, but I thought this was a good point to bring it forward and make it obvious and make the statement, is that you can actually apply filters to your effects section. You can insert those there, and we haven't gotten to the effects section, but I did show you in the overview how you do that. And there's 2 ways. You can actually put filters exactly at the effects, and you can put many of them. Or remember that we have the send knob where we can actually alter which source, right, A, B, C, or D, and which effects rack is going to be affected by my filtering. And that also ties up to my main filter. Maybe think about when you start designing sounds later on, when we close out together the source portion and all the other parameters in Alchemy, think about that, right? You can insert filters into your effects, and you may be able to achieve similar results that you might be thinking by just putting a bunch of filters into different sources and then going crazy with overdrive, cutoff, and resonance and all this other stuff. So that's very important to know as well, that you have your filters at your disposal and for use in the effects section or the effects racks. And to start, just moving into a more practical example, if you want to call it that, one good tip that I want to share is that due to technical constraints in Alchemy, and also tied to everyone's different CPUs or systems and setups and all this other stuff. Your FM filtering or synthesis, it's best done at the source filter level. When you're going through the signal pad, your gain will increase and therefore will be an FM, and it will be heavily modulated and distorted. So think about how you can make that easier if you introduce you're working with an FM signal at the main level. That's an example tied to working with filters at the global level instead of the source level to achieve something that's pretty popular. What else can we say there? As far as FM, eye-opening would be something eye-opening, right? With this tip is that unlike the FM synth that we actually have in Logic already, and this is why it's important to have an understanding of all the other synths, regardless of Alchemy's power, because some synths do some stuff better than others, is that Alchemy is not really pre-configured for FM synthesis. And you might be thinking, how is that possible if it's so powerful? Well, you can run a lot of filtering, as I was saying, to achieve FM outputs, and you can do that at the source or at the main level. So that's something that not only it's important to know in your decision of what sound you're designing. Maybe you want to go with an FM synth for some stuff that's gonna be easier for you to achieve, or quicker, or more robust, more faithful to the sound that you want to achieve, or you want to do some stuff with Alchemy. Why? Because as I just explained, since you can achieve FM at the source or the main filter levels, you're gonna get a different sounding FM result in Alchemy as opposed to an FM synth. So how can I explain this a little bit better? There's actually an example in the manual. I think I'm gonna try that. Hopefully this doesn't extend the video too long. Let's go to the name bar. Let's see. Let's clear this stuff so it goes to the default level. And let's see. Let's put a sine. Let's put a sine triangle. Let's see, let's just go with sine triangle ARP. Let's go to my source A filter now, and then let's choose an FM. So now it's on, and let's right click on this frequency knob, and then let's see what modulation we can use. The example says envelope follower source A. Yeah, we're dealing with A. See how this change. So now that filter has been assigned to a track that will be altered by keyboard pitch. So now we can adjust that modulation depth on that filter to increase how much impact it has on the source signal. And that sine wave generated FM filter. Let's see. So let's see. We can control that depth. Let's just hit play. Can't hear anything. I wonder why that is. Yeah, it's not gonna do much. Let's just assign. Yeah, we have to change that frequency a little bit lower so we can hear it. Changing the depth, we get a little bit more of a bassy sound. So that's good in Alchemy to use FM for, to get some creative bass sounds as well. And with that, I'm just gonna cut the tutorial right here. Just wanted to give you a few tips on how to use source filters, so that you always keep in mind that there's a lot going on behind using source filters, and you may want to consider using some of these at the main level so that you can achieve same results without using as much CPU power. And as I have said before, think about what you can do in other synths that it's a little bit more targeted to doing a specific or achieving a specific sound, that you may want to stray away from using Alchemy to either be more efficient, make things quicker, or you want to free your computer from using a lot of resources. And put some placeholders too. You can put some placeholders with other synths and then work with Alchemy, achieve the sound, see if you can reroute it through a different filtering scheme and achieve the same thing, and then take that all those synth off. Or if you achieve the same sonic result, meaning if they sound the same in different synths, for example one in Alchemy and one in an FM, then you probably want to choose the one that uses the less power. So that's just a few tips there, or things to keep in mind with dealing with source filters. So with that, I'm gonna leave you for now. Please like this video, subscribe and comment if you liked it. If you didn't, you can dislike, that's okay as well. Share with others that might be interested, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out, YouTube.